27. Welcome to the 4th episode of our series called Wonder Woman. Today we're talking about Deborah, the warrior leader. How many of you guys have exercise mats like these at home? Does anybody have a treadmill or an exercise bike or weight set? These are a lot of great tools to build healthy and strong bodies. Or do you have those and not even use it? Hi, Nako! Now, when we exercise daily, be it on a mat, on a machine, or outside, we are building strength that will help us live healthy, active lives. Sometimes we need strength for things that aren't just physical. God has a plan for our lives, but we need God's help to fulfill those plans. God will give us wisdom to know what to do and the courage to take action. But first, we have to ask Him. Now, no one gets in shape about thinking by exercise. They get on a mat, they grab the weights, and do that work. If we want God's strength, we have to do the work. We need to ask whatever challenge is facing you. Ask God to help, and He will give you wisdom, courage, knowledge, and understanding.
Sweet and marvelous, the love of Jesus. Sweet and marvelous, the love of Jesus. Sweet and marvelous, oh, oh, wonderful love. Higher than the sky, deeper than the ocean, wider than the universe, oh, oh, wonderful love. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. His banner over me is love. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. His banner over me is love. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. His banner over me is love. His banner over me is love.
One of the most interesting comic book series of all time has to be the X-Men. The X-Men are mutants, humans who have superpowers because of something that has happened in their genetic code. A mutations here and there, and an ordinary person is able to walk through walls, change their appearance, teleport from one place to another, manipulate metal, heal their bodies from terrible injury, and even read minds. The X-Men have also always been unique because unlike the Justice League and the Avengers, the X-Men have always had more than one female hero on their team. X-Men was unique in one other aspect. Most of the X-Men were either students or teachers at a private school founded by Professor Charles Xavier. Professor X made it his mission to seek out potential X-Men while they were still kids so he could guide them to use their powers for good. He knew that young mutants would need encouragement and wisdom to do the right thing, and the professor was always there for them. If any of the X-Men needed help, they turned to Professor X. They trusted him to give them good advice, and he was always willing to listen and encourage them. Today's Wonder Woman of the Bible had someone she turned to when she needed. She turned when she needed help. Her name was Deborah, and she was a prophet, a person who received messages directly from the Lord. When Deborah needed help, she pointed her people to the one source of wisdom, God.
God's story, Deborah. So part of God's story is about a woman named Deborah. And it goes like this. God's special family was in some trouble. You see, Israel had started to turn away from God and stop following him. But because God loved his family, he wanted to send them a reminder that he was in charge and that it was really important to follow him. And so, God allowed Jabin, the king of Canaan, to take over Israel. Now, Jabin had left Sisera, the commander of his armies, in control of Israel. And Sisera? Well, he wasn't exactly the nicest guy. In fact, the Bible tells us that he had over 900 iron chariots, which meant he was really powerful, and he loved to bully the Israelites. The Israelites tried to resist, but they couldn't do it on their own. After 20 long years of trying to rescue themselves, Israel cried out to God and asked him to rescue them. Kids, it's always a good idea to ask for God's help. Even though God was king of his family, he chose people to lead them. They were called judges. One judge was named Deborah. She was also a prophet. Remember, a prophet is someone who hears from God and shares it. Deborah was a strong, powerful woman who listened to God, helped settle arguments among the Israelites, and worked to lead her nation back to their rescuer. Pretty cool, huh? And she had a message from God. He had heard the cries of the Israelites. So Deborah sent for a man named Barak and told him that if he took 10,000 men up to a place called Mount Tabor, she would bring Commander Sisera to him. Then they could stop Sisera from bullying Israel. But Barak wasn't so sure. In fact, he was pretty worried. He said that he would only go if Deborah would come with him. Deborah told Barak not to worry because God was going to deliver Commander Sisera not through him, but through the hands of a woman. Barak obeyed and gathered his men at Mount Tabor. But when Sisera heard about this new army, he rushed out to battle them with all 900 chariots rumbling along the ground. Now, Deborah could have been scared, but she knew God was with her. She said, "Get ready. This is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you." So Barak and his men charged Sisera and his army. The soldiers went forward, and with God's help, defeated Sisera's chariots. Every one of his soldiers were killed, so Sisera went running for his life. He ran to a tent owned by a woman named Jael and asked her to hide him. She agreed and covered him with a blanket. He was pretty tired from all that running, so inside the tent, he fell asleep. When Barak arrived at the camp, Jael led him to Sisera's body. Just like Deborah had prophesied, Sisera had been delivered to Barak through the hands of a woman. With Sisera gone, God led his special family in battle after battle, until Jabin, king of all of Canaan, had to surrender before the little nation of Israel. After that, Deborah and Barak burst into song, praised God, and celebrated how God had saved his family. And then there was peace for 40 years. And that's the story of Deborah. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Israel was in trouble. They cried out to God. Deborah told Barak God had a plan. Barak led 10,000 soldiers into battle. God helped the Israelites beat Sisera's chariots. Sisera fled to Jael's tent. Jael killed Sisera. The Israelites defeated Canaan. Deborah and Barak praised God in song. There was peace for 40 years, and that's a part of God's story.
Deborah was the leader of Israel during a time when Israel was being abused by a very cruel king. God was ready to save Israel from their enemies, and God had given Deborah the plan to defeat them. Deborah shared the plan with Barak, but Barak wasn't quite so courageous as Deborah. He said, "Okay, I'll do what you ask, but you have to go with me." Deborah had the courage to go with Barak into battle, trusting that God would be true to his word and defeat their enemies. Last week, we talked about how God has a plan for our lives, only we can fulfill. Deborah's story shows that God will give us the wisdom and courage to fulfill that plan. When we trust God, He will show us the way to go, and He will give us the courage to fulfill His plans.
And our memory verse for the week is found in Psalm 118 in verse 14. The Lord gives me strength and makes me secure. He has saved me.
Hanging out with parents make this week's lesson real. Tell your kids about a mentor, coach, or other source of wisdom who has blessed you in your life, past or present.
Wow! Hi kids! It's me again for trivia time. Are you ready to answer 5 questions today? Great! So we have a question and answer. I'll give you some minutes or seconds just to answer for each question. Okay? Ready? Let's start. Question number 1. This woman was not only a prophet but a leader of Israel. Who is that woman? Let me see, kids. Oh, great! The answer is Deborah. Question number 2. Deborah's story appears in this book of the Bible. Where in the book of the Bible did Deborah's story appear? Is it Old Testament or you can find it in the New Testament? Let me see. Yeah, the answer is Judges, and you can find that in the Old Testament. Question number 3. This wicked king was hurting the people of Israel when Deborah was their leader. Who is this wicked king? Let me see, kids. What's your answer? Yeah, the answer is Sisera. Or Sisera. Question number 4. Deborah told this man to lead Israel into battle to defeat Sisera or Sisera. Who is this? Let me see, kids. Alright, the answer is Barak. Question number 5. This is who can give us wisdom and courage to do the right thing. Again, this is who can give us wisdom and the courage to do the right thing. Let me see your answer. Yes, you're telling it. And the answer is God. So again, kids, thank you for helping me answer those 5 questions for our trivia time. It's a great thing again to know that you are listening well to our stories all the time. So again, till next trivia, goodbye!
Here's a craft idea for you. Have the kids make a spyglass using construction paper rolled and tape. are using paper towel rolls that they can decorate. These spyglasses remind them to look to God for wisdom and courage to do His will.
In this world, there are many people who have big hopes and dreams. Some people want to be pop stars, kinda me. People want to be movie stars, also me. Some people, they want to start their own business, they want to be professional football players, maybe soccer ones, maybe they want to be the next Messi or Ronaldo. By the way, do you guys prefer Messi or Ronaldo? I don't know any of them. Now, they dream about being famous and doing great, but they've never even come close because they had no plan to get there. God has no intention of leaving us hanging. He has a plan for us. And if we are willing to listen, He will show us that plan. God will lead us to the right people, the right places, and the right path at just the right time to fulfill His plans. He will give us the wisdom to know what to do. We just need to ask and God will direct us. God will do more than just give us direction. He will give us courage. He will make us confident. He will give us the motivation and bravery we need to fulfill His plans. God doesn't want us to be timid like Deborah. He wants us to trust Him completely. Like Deborah, if we trust Him, we will have the courage we need to obey Him and do what He commands. Maybe God is calling you to make a new friend. Maybe God is calling you to give up some of your allowance to help others. Maybe God is calling you to serve a neighbor who is elderly and needs some extra help. Maybe God is calling you to help your mom do the chores. And now, all of these things can seem daunting and a little scary. But if we trust God, He will give us the wisdom and courage to follow His plan. God has a plan to do big things in your life. Yes, you. He will give you wisdom and He will give you the courage. It all starts when you ask God for help. Ask God to give you the direction and He will also give you the courage you need to do His will. Let's close with a simple prayer. Dear God, give us wisdom and strength to do your will. In Jesus' name, amen. Bye kids, I hope to see you on the next episode. Now don't forget to stay tuned for our next lesson. Bye kids, but before we go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends. And again, comment how many questions you got correct in our trivia. Bye-bye!